Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. It's Chad Hyams over here with Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how you doing today?
Normally, when we start, I have something I want to say.
Yes.
Today, I don't have anything I want to say. This snuck up on me. We were having some conversations, and then you're like, "Okay, are we ready? Let's go." And I'm like, "Wait a minute!" I needed that transition time to have something to say. I got nothing, man. I'm good.
Well,
though.
Bob, let me ask you this: we are recording this before the next round of the playoffs, so your words will be heard after the game. So I'm going to get you on record here. Next round, Seahawks. You betting the house on them yet?
Well, so a friend of mine called me last night, and he said, "Hey, do you want to go to the game on Sunday?" And I'm like, why are you asking me that? Just pencil my name in. Yeah, I'll be there. But I can't bet the house because I'm actually paying the house to go to the game. So not cheap tickets, but I will be there. Definitely going to be, I think the Seahawks are going to beat the Rams. Honestly, if they don't, I don't know how I'm going to feel about having paid what I paid to be here. I need him to win for this to feel like it was a good investment. Yeah.
Yes. We did just have the national championship in college football down here. The most expensive ticket in college football history. I looked them up. There were some available for $20,000 if I wanted to get a ticket to go to the game last minute. I decided not to make that investment, Bob.
Yeah, I have a friend down there that's a big University of Miami fan, and he was joking about some of the prices in the suites. And I mean, you get $1 million to get a suite at that thing. Yeah,
the cheapest seat available a week before was $4,500 for a seat in one of the last rows in the stadium.
Yeah, I believe
and that wasn't counting the $500 just to park your car that day, folks. Folks, don't bet on it, experience it, yet there's a limit. We'll find out from Bob next week if it was worth the investment. Bob, here's the thing. I'm glad you did, though, immediately say to your friend, of course, I'll figure out how to make it happen. You didn't negotiate with yourself and sit there and say, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? You are creating an experience, Bob, that'll be a life memory that you're going to have.
It should be noted, I didn't negotiate with myself, but I did come home and negotiate with my wife and my boys who were like, "Oh, cool, we're going." And I'm like, well, not exactly. Dad's going.
It's the royal we, right? The royal we is going. Well, Bob, I say it that way, and you figured out as I was getting into the sentence, because that's what we're going to talk about here on today's episode. We're talking about stop negotiating with yourself and how leaders build discipline that actually lasts, Bob. So we know that most people don't fail because they lack information. I mean, if you fail in this world because you lack information, something's wrong with you.
Yeah, you don't have the internet, or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's information is abundant. They fail because people negotiate with themselves too often. Bob, what are some of the common ones that you hear or you say or that go on in business or in your house? What are some of those common negotiations we make with ourselves?
Oh, I mean, I'll start that project when things are a little bit less busy. You know what? I'm not going to do the gym today, Chad, but I'll definitely get in there tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what? I could call him right now, but I'm gonna put it on my calendar. I'm gonna call him later at 3:00, even though it was a 5-minute call and I got nothing to do for the next 10 minutes.
So you're hearing lots of them.
No, these are all mine.
Lots of them. I mean,
I'm not hearing them from others. These are the ones I'm saying in my own head, Chad.
Oh. These aren't ones you're hearing. These are Bob negotiations.
This is my internal voice saying those things. Yeah.
All right. Bob, here's what I want you to know. Every time you negotiate with yourself, you actually weaken the level of trust you have in yourself. You reduce your self-trust because you keep letting you down.
I did this for years with my sleep, right? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up when that first alarm goes off at 7 a.m.
How many alarms do you need?
Well, back then I was 2, 3, depending on how late I'd stayed up the night before. But it was, then 7 a.m. comes and I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to get up on time, or you know what? I'm just going to snooze once. Like that was a negotiation that I would allow myself to have for years.
Okay.
Not good.
And folks, we want you to understand Bob putting himself out there and sharing it, right? What he's doing is he's eroding his discipline, right? He's just rubbing away at that discipline and it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker because he keeps reducing the amount of trust he can have in himself for what's going on. Every time, Bob, you negotiate with yourself, the part of you that keeps promises loses.
Yeah, I talk with my kids a lot about this because it's so slow. Like that discipline is going away so slow, so quietly. You don't even really realize it. It's not this big dramatic thing where I broke one promise to myself and now I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm not a person that keeps promises. It's this very quiet thing. And you could look up 5 years later and not even realize like, wow, I negotiate with myself all the time. It's actually who I've become. I don't hold myself to any kind of a standard.
Yes. And folks, it's so easy to do. We do it again and again. You've probably negotiated with yourself before you listen to this episode at some point today. I don't know whether it's early in the day or late in the day. You've probably negotiated with yourself. You probably will negotiate with yourself before you go to sleep tonight if you haven't already done it. It might be I'll wear that outfit. It might be I'll do the laundry. I'll do it on Sunday, right? I'll wait. I'll put it off. Whatever the negotiations are you're doing, we want you to understand every time you are just weakening and weakening that defense when it's needed to be called upon. Now, Bob, I want to put you on the spot. If you promised your wife you'd do something, what's the percentage of times you do it?
Is there a qualifier of like in the time frame? 100% of the time.
Okay. If you're going to tell your wife something, you're going to get it done.
Yeah, but I would quantify that by saying, but sometimes I would say, hey, you know what? I'll get that done today, and it doesn't get done until tomorrow. So the reality is, 100%. If we had a timeline in there, probably missing the mark. Yeah,
right?
Maybe.
Yet, how many times do you think you break a promise to yourself?
Much more often.
Right. I mean, I would almost say the number is 90-10, not 80-20, 90-10 at least on keeping promises to other people and then on breaking promises to ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially people like you, Bob, because you are a people pleaser. So if you promise me something, if you promise Ben, if you promise your boy, you're going to do it over yourself because you're going to go to please that other person.
Look, the part of how I've started to get this under control is just not doing that as much, right? Because if you
promising,
yeah. Ben's Ben's real good at nailing you down and being like, "You gonna do that?" And I'll be like, "Yep, I'm gonna do that." He'd be like, "You promise you're gonna get that done by Friday?" And I'm like, "Nope, I don't." I'll negotiate next Friday, right? And that is a promise. But it used to be I just whatever was coming at me, I would be like, "Yep, let me get that done," and
all right,
ultimately break promises to somebody else even.
So let's talk about why negotiations feel smart, yet it's actually quite costly, Bob. Negotiation feels rational, right? It feels rational. It gives us flexibility and it feels mature of us to negotiate. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, look, in some ways, like I'm teaching my kids right now, they should negotiate with other people about that other people's, what their objectives and their desired outcomes are. They should be negotiating that. So yeah, that and
you've told us countless times about how many times your wife will negotiate with the sales clerk or the front desk person without even thinking about it. Because if you don't attempt to negotiate in that situation, you're missing out on what could easily be an opportunity.
Yep. Yeah. So on the one side, we're teaching my boys, hey, you got to negotiate. That's mature. It's grown up. But the reality is, if you're not reminding them they shouldn't be negotiating with themselves, they may just think negotiation is a solid skill, which it is.
Correct.
Except if I'm using it with myself.
Correct, because you're creating decision fatigue for yourself and you're giving yourself emotional loopholes. You're allowing feelings to get into something that should have been a logical decision. You're creating emotional loopholes, Bob. And here's the thing we know. We've heard it again and again in different contexts. People love the easy path. We're always going to choose the road that's easiest in front of us over a harder challenge for the payoff later. We usually default to easier. And every time we negotiate, we're going to lean towards that easier decision, stronger and stronger and stronger again and again and again.
I'm you can see that I have a smile on my face. There was this like meme out there when our boys were really young. And we did it with them, and it was, we put like, I don't even remember what the candy was, but it was like,
was it the marshmallow test?
No, it wasn't. Well, similar. So we put the boys on the opposite ends of tables. We put some candy in front of them, and we were like, mom and dad are going to leave. Don't touch this candy. And you know, if you don't touch it, like when we come back, you'll have a special prize or whatever. And they were sitting there negotiating with each other, like, should we do it? And Chase is like the older boy who's kind of the good child, right? Like, no, Minnie, don't do it. And the younger kid's like, I'm just going to eat it, dude. I'm going to eat it. Because, you know, in Minnie's little brain just wanted the comfort of that thing in his mouth right now. Like he couldn't consider that long-term payoff of not comforting himself with that piece of candy, right?
Negotiation. We give ourselves the easy path, which is don't resist. It's right there in front of me. Okay. The brain prefers short-term relief. Negotiation delays discomfort, not consequences.
I mean, the reality is, I think a lot of times that delayed discomfort stacks the consequences, right? If we're being completely.
Oh, that's a great point, Bob. The consequences get bigger because of it.
Yeah.
Like the consequences are coming anyway.
Yeah.
So get it's the old, what was it? My mom used to always say, just rip the Band-Aid off, right? Don't peel at it slowly. It's going to hurt. Just yank it, get the pain over with quickly, not slow discomfort.
A second of pain versus 15 seconds. Oh man, when you're a kid, it doesn't matter. But when you're an adult, you got arm hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Bob, I hear you on that one. All right. So, folks, what we want you to know is that decision fatigue studies, there's actually studies about decision fatigue, which is what you're creating for yourself, show repeated micro decisions reduce follow through and willpower. Willpower is hard enough to have at full power now. And if every time you make micro decisions, you reduce the follow through and your overall level of willpower. It would be like your phone battery when Apple decides it's time, it shouldn't work properly anymore, right? It doesn't charge to full any longer.
Chad,
yeah.
Can I? Something just popped in my head, and I can't shake it out of my head. I have to ask.
Okay.
Do you have a hairy back?
Are we getting into that? We're going there on this podcast, Bob?
And if you do, what do you do about it? Just let it shine in the glistening sun of Florida? Do you shave it? Do you like nair it? Like what are you doing over there?
I have attempted multiple solutions to it.
So you do have a hairy back?
I have enough hair on my upper body, yes, that it's worth dealing with.
Is it blonde?
No.
Fascinating.
It's darker.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know why. Just the way you responded to ripping a Band-Aid off and the hair being pulled out, I'm like, you're a hairy dude.
Bob, I attempted waxing it at one point.
Did you?
Just like you see in the 40-year virgin, right? People are holding you down. Now
I get like my eyebrows waxed sometimes, and that's painful. I can't imagine your whole back. Holy cow!
Yes.
Right, sorry, I derailed us.
We'll move on from that, audience. You should just take those 30 seconds or however long that conversation was. Folks, here's the thing. Leaders do not rely upon willpower. They remove the decision entirely, so there is nothing that they have. They make decisions, so there is no negotiation left to happen for you.
Here's some of the research that we found, and I love this because this kind of stacks up for that nightly routine that we've talked about before, right? People who pre-decide their behavior follow through on that behavior at 3 times higher rates than people who decide in the moment. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym, Nah,
No, you're
I'm
not.
not. I'm going to go back to sleep. Right?
That's a great one, Bob, because I did not sleep well last night. And for Florida, I'll clarify that. For Florida, it's cold right now. So it was in the 50s, and then we leave our windows open in Florida when the weather gets down there. It was in the 50s, which was cold. I did not sleep well. I did not want to get out of bed. And on a normal day, Bob, I would have stayed in bed the extra hour or whatever it was. Last night, I decided the workout I was going to do, not just that I was going. I picked the workout I was going to do. My workout clothes were laying out, waiting on the counter for me. All my stuff was ready to go. And because I pre-decided, I had that 2 to 3 time higher follow-through rate and didn't have to be in a position of negotiation with myself.
Yeah. I mean, the fascinating part there, though, is if I never said I was going to go to the gym last night, then I don't have to negotiate with myself this morning to go to the gym. So
that is true.
Is that the hack? Maybe I don't
stop lying to yourself because you know that's what it is.
Stop telling myself stuff that I don't have any intention of doing.
It's like right now I don't want chocolate. So we were at Trader Joe's and they have dark chocolate covered almonds, which I love. And they're so easy to keep in the fridge because colder is better. And they're so easy to open the lid and just take 3 or 4 and nobody notices you've taken them, Bob. The negotiation of don't have them is so hard. We just didn't buy them. So I don't have to have the willpower, which therefore doesn't put me in the position of making the decision. Let's talk about some of the costs that come from just negotiating with yourself. It's okay when you're negotiating with someone else. That is a skill. Buying a car, you're going to negotiate. Buying a house, you're going to negotiate. Booking a hotel, a cruise, you might attempt to negotiate. When you negotiate with yourself, though, Bob, there are a lot of costs that come up. Give us a few.
I mean, slower momentum would be one, Chad, that I would mention. Because those keep going with this gym example, right? It's like, I didn't do it today. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to do that tomorrow. And then I get up tomorrow and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go Thursday. And maybe I do show up on Thursday. I've lost the momentum of the workouts I did 2 or 3 days ago. And had I got up, we see this all the time in sales. In fact, I've been studying this in our sales environment. People that consistently, let's say I was going to make 1,000 contacts, Chad. Yep. I could do that in 5 days, right? I'm gonna make 200 contacts a day because I didn't do anything for the last month, right? Yep. Or I could have made 50 contacts a day over 20 days. We've been studying this extensively. That approach, the more reliable, consistent approach over a longer period of time is going to get me better results than this high intensity approach over a shorter period of time.
Right. Even if they come to the same total.
Yeah. We all called 1,000. We both called 1,000 people. The person that did it, 20 days, 50 at a time is going to outperform the person that did it 500 for 2 days or whatever.
Yeah. So our momentum is absolutely interrupted because we negotiated, I'll just make more calls tomorrow to get there and push it off.
You got it.
What's another one of those costs that comes up, Bob?
I think a loss of belief in yourself or trust in yourself. You start to, and again, I think it's so gradual. You don't even recognize it, right? You don't even recognize it until all of a sudden you've become this person that will negotiate anything away, anything uncomfortable. I'm negotiating it away because slowly over time, I've just allowed myself to become that. And again, self-trust is fascinating because I don't know that you've lost it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good, because again, like you said earlier, it's so slow that it happens.
So gradual.
And all of a sudden you look up with no trust, no faith in yourself any longer because it has eroded away slowly.
Yeah.
Bob, would you also think that my identity changes with myself? Right? I'm a successful person. I'm a failure. I'm a successful person. I'm a failure because I've negotiated away having to do things. I've negotiated and pushed deadlines. I've negotiated all this stuff and usually fail in the negotiations. That internally, forget externally and what people see. Internally, I see myself from a success to a failure all the time, going up and down on that list.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're doing this too much, you what you start to do is you start to go, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And immediately your brain is starting to negotiate how you're not or why you're not. And that, the moment I say I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, I'm a healthy person, but every action from that point forward says you're not a healthy person.
Right.
You don't take this seriously, right? So you start to have this conflict in your psyche almost that says, I can't trust myself. I am not who I think I am or I say I am, right? It can be really destructive over a long period of time.
Bob, confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. So now that we've talked a little about this negotiating and some of those hidden costs of negotiating, how have you seen, how have you done it? How high performers, how do they remove negotiation so it's not even a thing to question if I have to negotiate with myself?
Oh man, I think the first one would be like standards.
There you go.
If you don't set a baseline for what you believe is acceptable, right, and kind of show up every day to that baseline or that standard, I think you're going to find, and we talk about this all the time, you're going to find it really hard to find the motivation every day to go to the gym. But if your standard is, I spend 30 minutes every day getting my heart rate elevated, right? You're going to find a way to do that versus every morning I get up and I'm motivated to go to the gym.
Yeah, just think how annoyed you would be if your bank, your grocery store, your department store, whatever store you're thinking, if it opened whenever the manager felt like getting there and opening it, right? You're expecting it to be open at this time. Your Starbucks is supposed to be open at this time so you can get your coffee on your way into work if that's where you get your coffee. If it opened when the manager felt like getting there, they might be like, nah, I want to sleep a little bit today. Or I had to do the shift closing last night.
Can I tell you what happened to me the other day?
Uh-oh.
I've only been able to tell my wife this. I have to tell this story to some. This was like,
when you're telling this story to me, you're telling it to a lot of people, right?
I almost feel like I was profiled in some way. And it's, so I went to the same little corner store one evening that I go to all the time. It's like the closest one to my house. And, I pull up, it's dark and I'm in my car and I get out, and later, as I come home and tell my wife what's happened to me, she's like, well, you do look kind of scary. I had a toque. I had a toque on, Chad. Now, for you guys down in the States, yeah, like a beanie, right? You might call it a beanie, or in Canada,
think Bob and Doug McKenzie from Strange Brew, if you are the right age.
Yeah. So I had a toque on, and I had it was cold. I had a big jacket on, right? Like my big snow jacket or whatever. And I get out of the car. I'm right by the front door, and I see the guy, and he's just one guy, and I'm a big boy, Chad. I'm 6'2" or whatever,
yes,
right? Maybe imposing to a small person. It's call it 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And I walk up to the door and I watch this guy from behind the counter run around. And right as I'm about to grab the door, he locks the door. And I'm like, I kind of do this one on my watch. I'm like,
yeah,
what time do you?
It's not time yet, right?
What time do you close? And this dude from the other side says 11, and I think it was 10:15, and I'm like, it's 10:15, and he just is shaking his head no, and I'm like, what do you mean no? I'm like, I come here all the time, and he was, by the way, I know the guy that works in there most nights. It was not him. It was some other guy, and I hadn't been there for a week or two. Maybe they got a new employee there. I don't know, right? He won't. So now I'm mad, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I can't even understand what is happening right now. And so I'm like, oh, I'm pissed. I'm giving it to him through the door, and he's just go away, basically. And so I'm like, all right. So I go and I'm pissed. I go get in my car and I slam the door. Right when I shut my door, he unlocks the door and taunts me. I don't know what this man was doing, right? He's basically he just opens, I don't even know what he said. He just opens the door. And so when he opens the door, now I'm like, what? I open my door again, and then he shuts the door and locks it. I'm like, this guy's playing a game with me. Am I being pranked right now? What is going on? And so I'm angry. Leave and I drive off. I go to the next store that's a mile down the road, and I get my stuff, and I go back home, and I'm telling my wife this. She's like, I don't know, maybe he was scared of you. Maybe you look like you were going to rob the store or something. Or I'm like, I don't know. I guess. But anyway, sorry, I don't even know why I came up with that story.
So the story came up because I suggested an opening of the Starbucks happening whenever the manager
that's right.
Bob now gave us this rabbit trail story, folks. We hope you've enjoyed Bob's experience of being
Who does
profiled.
that to somebody? Hey, by the way, this was a month ago. I probably in the last month would have spent $500 at that little corner spot. I haven't been back there, and I'm not going back there, by the way.
Do you want to name them? You want to shame them publicly?
No, just the local Shell station down the road in Kenmore, Washington. Yeah.
You don't need to be shopping there anyway. You're probably getting crap stuff, Bob.
Probably.
All right. So, folks, where we were going on that, right, is Bob was saying there are standards. In his situation, the place didn't close till 11, right? The standard should have been that it was open. It was frustrating to him that it wasn't open. We've now gotten the story as to what might have caused that from happening.
I look like a thug, I guess. I don't know.
Step one to make high performers remove negotiations from happening is they create powerful standards to live up to. Bob, number two. As he's searching through the notes we went over before, I'll give you a hint here, Bob, right? It's pre-decision that Bob talked about.
Yeah,
so take it away.
We decide once, right? Like we decide once that we're going to do something, and then we do it.
Yes.
But we decide in advance, right? We know what we're waking up to in the morning, Chad. We know
and when.
Yeah.
Right? We know we're waking up at this time, and we know what we're waking up to.
Yeah, I mean, it eliminates the debate in the morning with myself when I imagine the thing that I probably should be doing today, right? No, imagine it the night before, sleep on it so you know that's the first thing you're waking up to. But pre-decision is going to be powerful. Decide what you want to do in advance. Okay. Much more likely, you're 3 times more likely to negotiate it away if you decide in the moment.
There you go. Okay, and Bob, number 3?
Number 3. Rules create freedom, Chad. Like,
tell us more.
Well, they remove the emotional debate, right? No, like I gotta go to the gym tomorrow. The rule is I spend 30 minutes a day getting my heart rate up, right? And there's some simplicity in these in standards or rules that can, that can hold you through when your motivation fades.
Yes.
Right? Just knowing, simply, I got to get my heart rate up. Because sometimes, look, negotiation, and maybe because I'm a negotiator, maybe I'm like, let's say that's your standard is you get your heart rate up for 30 minutes and you decided the night before, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym at the morning at 7 a.m., Chad. You get up and it's super cold outside or whatever. And you're like, you know what, let me be a little bit flexible here but I'm not negotiating with the standard, right? I'm going to go get on the treadmill and I'm going to get my heart rate up for 30 minutes. The scenario didn't allow me to the gym, but the simple standard or rule that I have for myself is I get my heart rate up for 30 minutes every morning.
That's a great point, Bob. I have 3 days a week are cardio days for me. Yet when I wake up in the morning and I'm getting ready to go outside for a run and it's pouring rain in the morning, I'll get on the indoor cycle so the standard is, again, kept up because I've got rules, which then create some freedom in there. I have pre-decision. The stuff's all laid out for the night before, whatever I'm doing. And I have a standard that says, get yourself that exercise when it comes.
This is silly and stupid, but there's in your notes here, you got this little note that says, what rule changed your consistency the most? And this is ridiculously silly, but I mentioned this recently, I think, when we were talking. When you work from home, I had gotten into this pattern of showering in the afternoon. So, by the way, some days I just would skip it. My wife would be like, what are you doing? Like, take a shower, you stinky man. But the rule became, I take a shower right after I get up in the morning, right? And that allowed me to get into that rhythm of a morning routine where I wasn't as consistent with that before when I would skip the shower. So that's a silly little rule, but it's actually helped me become more consistent in that morning routine.
All right. So we've talked about a few examples: sleep, our health, our eating, making those calls, doing the cut, whatever it is. Now let's talk about, Bob, and we'll bring this to a close here with giving our audience some ways to stop negotiating. We just gave them 3 principles. yet let's give them some ways to stop negotiating. So the first thing I would tell our audience to do, Bob, is I would tell them to ask themselves, what is it I talk myself out of doing that I said I do? First, identify where it is, because you're probably really structured or have great standards in certain areas. And then there's probably areas you suck, right? You might be that person who, yes, you wake up at a set time, you go to the gym at the set time, and as soon as you walk into the office, boy, all of a sudden everything goes to crap, right? Because now you're negotiating, well, I don't want to make those calls, or now you're or maybe you're the person at work who crushes it, yet you go home and all of a sudden your diet's all over the place, or your relationship is all over the place. The first thing, Bob, I challenge our listeners to do is identify the negotiation that happens the most often.
Yeah.
You give them number two.
Where do you talk yourself out of doing what you said you'd do? Right. That's the kind of qualifying question. Okay. Number two, convert it to a standard. Like, it's not, I'll try to get my calls in this morning for my business. It's, I do not miss making my calls because it's an important part of my business. Like, set it as a standard. By the way, I would also suggest that your standard should have something measurable. So it's not, I make my calls, right? It's, I'm somebody that makes 10 calls each morning. It's how I start my day.
Yes.
So
that's a great point. And folks, when it comes to a standard, don't give me a range. Give me the minimum acceptable standard. Because if you say I make 10 to 15 calls and you make 10, now you go into negotiation mode. Do I want to get up to 15? If you say I work out for 30 minutes every month, and now that's different than I work out 30 to 45 minutes. No, what's the standard? You can always exceed it. Yet make sure you've got it set, like Bob said, convert and have a trackable standard. And number three on the list, Bob, is reduce friction around the choice. So prep your environment. Before you leave, have those call sheets out for the next day or whatever you're going to need. Have the clothes laid out. Meal prep some meals. Buy the right groceries. Don't buy certain groceries. Remove excuses that would always be in your way of, oh, this or oh, that. That way, the right choice is the only choice you can make because everything's prepped in advance for you.
The one thing I might add on reducing friction is, like, get the people that matter or that might interrupt this thing bought in on your decision, right? Like, you know, I think I'll put this in the work environment. If I'm the head sales guy and the operations person is in the building with me, that operations person needs to know between 9 and 11, like, they can't disturb me because I am going to be in my bunker, right? That's friction, like people grabbing you all the time away from doing what you want. But if the people that mainly would be the one that create that interruption, you got to let them know. They've got to know that this is what, you know, Chad, I would assume Nita doesn't call you when you're at the gym. Like, she knows that's your time to be working out at the gym. Maybe, you know, maybe if she does, it's an emergency or something, but she's not interrupting that time because she understands that's the time.
And I don't interrupt her time. And she knows work time, just like you work at home. You're kind of downstairs in the house where you've got your little area there. And yes, there's a big TV, and yes, there's other stuff. Yet your family knows that when you're in the office, it's an office, not a family room space to come hang out and work out in. We're not dealing with watching the kids jump around, except on exceptions. They will happen. All right. So Bob, we've got to identify what you're negotiating. We got convert it to a trackable standard. We've got reduce friction around it. Give us the fourth step to help everybody stop negotiating.
I think this
themselves.
Is important as you're getting started, especially, right? It's just keep the promise small. Like, keep the thing, keep the standard, keep the thing that you intend to do small in the beginning, right?
That's it. Don't all of a sudden say I'm going to do an hour in the gym when you haven't gone to the gym since, 10 years ago. Right? I'm going to do 10 minutes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Build it up. Start small so you can get the consistency that will then bring the motivation and therefore the intensity.
Consistency beats intensity every single time, Chad. We've seen this over, like, I don't know, how long have you and I known each other? 15, 18 years, however long it's been. Like, but our entire careers in all these different places, we see this. Remember early on the SEO and blogging? It was way better to do one of those a day than to go out and pipe out 10 of those things once every 10 days. Just in all environments that I've ever studied the data around, consistency beats intensity. And I think
you shared it earlier, right? If the goal is to make 1,000 calls, hell, if the goal is to lift 1,000 pounds, are you going to do one lift where you lift 1,000 pounds, or are you going to lift a few pounds every day so at the end of the month you've lifted those same 1,000 pounds? I don't know how many people I hear at the beginning of the year set a goal of, I'm going to run 1,000 minutes or 1,000 miles this year or whatever it is. Okay, that's X number of miles a day is what that would pace out to. And then all of a sudden November shows up and they're like, I have to run a marathon every day to get caught up on this.
The thing I would add to that, keep the promises small, is like you can even start with some very basic things. Like for me, it was taking a shower in the morning, right? Which seems silly, but I work from home and, I would generally just push it off.
It makes a difference. All right, audience, here's what we're going to challenge you to. We're going to challenge you to identify one of those negotiations that you have regularly. Okay? We're going to then have you write this down. Whatever sentence is creating your new standard. So I contact 10 people a day for business. I move my body and elevate my heart rate for 15 minutes, no exceptions. Whatever it is, write the standard down on paper somewhere. And then for 1 week, no exceptions. All we ask of you is 1 week where you stop negotiating with yourself because you've made it so easy, and you'll see after day 7, you'll keep going. It's not 66 days to create a habit, folks. It's 2. James Clear has shown us that research. 66 days is how long it takes for a habit to be as easy as it's ever going to be, according to the University of College of London research. But it only takes 2 to get there. If you did it for 7, you are establishing a habit. Bob, last words on negotiating with yourself so that people stop doing it?
I think the best leaders and those amongst us that perform at the very highest levels, Chad, aren't the most motivated. They're just the ones that figured out how to stop negotiating with themselves.
Boom. Drop the mic. Folks, hit the back 30 seconds. Listen to that again. We are not the smartless guys. No, we're not as funny as they might be. We're not as smartless as they are. We got smarts here. Bob just shared them with you. Listen to that part again. Folks, share this episode with someone who you know is negotiating with themselves, and let us be the one who brings that point to them. Till our next episode, as always, do good.